Tony, it's kind of easy to make analogies between Kari Lake's situation and Donald Trump's legal troubles and maybe assume that she'll get the same halo effect that he's had from being in court for being punished. Do you think that's going to play out the same way here in this case?
I don't think that it will. And part of it's because she's trying so hard, at least outwardly, to pivot to the future. And this is yet another circumstance where she is talking about the past and talking about her insistence that her election was stolen. I mean, so much so that even though a court filing basically says, I admit it, I was lying, she still can't handle people saying she was wrong, so she goes on the radio and repeats these lies the day that that filing happened. And so she's going to be knocked off message constantly, and I think that it's going to hurt her in Arizona. I think people are just really tired of this.
And I think one of the more important points Tom Ryan gave us was this is going to drag on for months, and the primary, Jim, is on July 30th?
Yeah, it's at the end of July this year. And so that's kind of it, right? I mean, the primary maybe. We can discuss, I think, maybe a little bit later about how this is going to affect the primary election, but certainly she's the overwhelming favorite in the primary right now. And so I think the issue is less about how it's going to affect the primary and more about how it's going to continue sort of this narrative that Tony was talking about, you know, heading into kind of the teeth of the election, into the late summer, into the general election against, you know, ostensibly Ruben Gallego. You know, and the fact that for all of the talk that she's had, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times we've now had her say, well, I'm not talking about the past, I'm going to look to the future, we're only going to talk about the future. And whether, you know, this one is going to force her to talk about the past, but certainly she's shown, I think, a reluctance to be able to kind of stick with that message discipline already. I think usually it lasts about 36 or 48 hours, and then we're right back onto, you know, a Steve Bannon show or some other podcast or some other radio show where we're talking about, you know, the ills and horrors of 2020 and 2022.
One of the more interesting recent developments, and I'm not sure what to make of it, is, but she's not winning back the mainstream Republicans she says are coming back to her. But now you're seeing some of the more hardcore Lake supporters, the base, the real current Trump base saying, you know, I'm not sure about this. What should we make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is interesting. I think that there was it the Washington Post or the New York Times had a big story looking at, the New York Times looking at the race, and a lot of, you know, folks who would have been, you know, I think firmly in Kari's camp in 2022 who aren't, and they're lining up behind Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb. We'll see whether that is able to translate into anything. You know, I think certainly these legal problems aren't going to help her in that regard. You know, but I think that some of those overtures she's made toward the middle to try to, you know, apologize to the McCains and things like that, I think leaves a bad taste in the mouth of people who have, you know, spent really the last 20 years fighting the Republican establishment and trying to drive them out of the party.